Have you ever wondered what happens when thousands of Indians are suddenly forced to pack their bags and leave a country they've called home for years? In 2025, this shocking reality is unfolding across the world from the Gulf to the West, and even in neighboring nations. Some are deported due to visa crackdowns, others evacuated from war zones, and many are pushed out by political tensions. Today, we'll uncover the top 15 countries where Indians are forced to leave in 2025 and the reasons will leave you stunned. 15. United States. In 2025, the United States continued deportations of Indian nationals under immigration enforcement. Over 1,700 Indians were deported between January and July alone, according to India's Ministry of External Affairs. Most were undocumented migrants, visa overstayers, or those involved in criminal cases. While not a targeted expulsion of Indians, the scale of removals has left many families separated and desperate. Deportation means sudden loss of income, broken dreams, and often a re-entry ban that prevents return for years. For many, the American dream quickly turned into a forced journey back to India. 14. Malaysia. Malaysia intensified its immigration raids in 2025, targeting undocumented workers and high-risk travelers. Dozens of Indians were among those arrested and deported during sudden crackdowns in markets, construction sites, and transit areas. Many of these deportations happen with little legal process, leaving workers unable to collect unpaid wages or belongings. Immigration detention centers have been criticized for harsh conditions, adding to the trauma. For Indians who travel for work or short visits, even small visa irregularities can lead to a sudden forced exit, cutting short years of sacrifice and struggle in Malaysia. 13. Thailand. Thailand has launched multiple campaigns against undocumented workers and scam-related compounds. Indians caught in these raids have been detained and sent back home. While most of those deported are from Myanmar or Cambodia, Indians involved in online fraud rings or informal work sectors like hospitality and construction have also faced removals. Victims of trafficking from scam centers along the Thai-Myanmar border were among those repatriated in 2025. The Thai government's zero-tolerance approach to illegal employment means many Indians have had to leave abruptly, with no chance of legal appeal or wage recovery. 12. Kuwait. Kuwait remains strict on residency rules, and in 2025, thousands of expatriates were deported for overstaying visas or working without proper documentation. Indians, being one of the largest foreign communities, were heavily impacted. Often, workers who complain about unpaid wages or leave abusive employers are branded as absconders, which results in detention and deportation. Once deported, they also face lengthy bans on re-entry. For Indian families dependent on remittances, this sudden forced return is devastating, erasing years of financial stability. Kuwait's repeated crackdowns show how vulnerable foreign workers, especially Indians, are under the sponsorship system. 11. Oman. Oman intensified deportations in 2025 under its Omanization drive, which prioritizes local workers over expatriates. Thousands of foreigners, including Indians, were arrested and deported in the first half of the year alone for visa and labor violations. Many Indians were detained because of employer disputes or expired contracts, situations often beyond their control. Deportations are usually fast-tracked, leaving little time for appeals. With India being one of the largest suppliers of migrant workers, Indians have faced mass exits, highlighting the risks of depending on unstable Gulf labor policies. 10. Qatar. Qatar has been deporting thousands of workers yearly for overstaying visas or breaching labor laws, and 2025 was no different. Many Indians found themselves caught between exploitative employers and strict immigration laws. A single complaint from a sponsor can lead to cancellation of residency permits and immediate deportation. While Qatar has tried to improve its global image since hosting the FIFA World Cup, migrant workers still face sudden removals. For Indians, especially those in low-paying jobs, deportation often means returning home penniless, despite years of hard work abroad. 9. United Arab Emirates, UAE. The UAE, home to the largest Indian diaspora, stepped up deportations in 2025 after its visa amnesty period ended. Tens of thousands were deported for overstaying or working without permits. Many Indians missed the amnesty deadline due to lack of awareness or employer negligence and were detained during raids. Once deported, re-entry bans lasting years are imposed, ending career prospects in the Gulf. Families dependent on remittances suddenly lost their primary income source. Despite India's close ties with the UAE, enforcement remains harsh, and Indians often face the brunt of these mass removals. 8. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's 2025 deportation drive saw tens of thousands of foreigners forced to leave, with Indians making up a large share. Crackdowns on undocumented workers, traffic violations, and labor disputes resulted in arrests and quick removals. Migrant detention centers have been criticized for poor conditions and lack of legal protections. Many Indian workers lost years of service benefits and unpaid salaries because deportation is executed without resolving wage disputes. The kingdom's ongoing reforms and push to reduce reliance on foreign labor have put Indian migrants in a vulnerable position, making deportation an ever-present threat. 7. Bahrain. Bahrain conducted repeated immigration inspections in 2025, resulting in hundreds of deportations at a time. Workers accused of violating residency laws were detained and removed, often with little opportunity to contest the charges. Indians working in small businesses and domestic roles were especially affected, as they rely on employers for visa renewals under the sponsorship system. If an employer files a complaint, workers can immediately lose legal status and face deportation. These removals not only break livelihoods but also trap workers in a cycle of debt, since many borrow heavily to secure jobs abroad. 6. Iran. The Iran-Israel conflict in 2025 forced thousands of Indians to leave under India's Operation Sindhu. While not an official expulsion, the deteriorating security situation meant Indian workers, students, and professionals had no choice but to evacuate. Bombings, protests, and military escalations created unsafe conditions, leading India to organize emergency flights. Many Indians had to abandon belongings, jobs, and businesses in haste. For families back home, this was a traumatic experience, as loved ones were stranded in a conflict zone until rescued. It highlights how geopolitical tensions can force sudden mass exits of Indian nationals. 5. Pakistan. Tensions between India and Pakistan escalated in 2025 after attacks in Kashmir. Islamabad suspended SARC visa exemptions and ordered Indian nationals under certain categories to leave. Business visitors, students, and professionals found their visas suddenly cancelled. Airspace restrictions and political hostility made departures chaotic. Many Indians who had lived in Pakistan for years were forced to abandon businesses and personal ties. For them, deportation wasn't just a legal action, it was an emotional uprooting, cutting them off from communities and livelihoods they had built across the border. 4. Bangladesh. In 2025, reports surfaced of Indians, particularly Muslims from Assam and West Bengal, being pushed across the border into Bangladesh. Human rights groups accused authorities of carrying out forced deportations without proper verification of citizenship. Families who had lived in India for generations suddenly found themselves declared illegal and expelled. This has created humanitarian concerns, as many of those forced into Bangladesh had no ties there. The issue remains politically charged, with both governments denying responsibility, but the victims, often poor and marginalized, are left stranded without a home or identity. 3. Myanmar. Although not a major destination for Indians, Myanmar's political instability and scam operations have drawn many victims. In 2025, several Indians trapped in scam centers along the Thai-Myanmar border were rescued and forcibly repatriated. These were often young workers promised jobs but instead trafficked into illegal cybercrime syndicates. Indian authorities, in coordination with international agencies, helped bring them back home. While technically rescues, the reality is that Indians in Myanmar had no choice but to leave once identified in these operations. The unsafe conditions made their continued stay impossible, forcing an immediate return. 2. Lebanon. Lebanon's worsening security crisis in 2025 triggered repeated advisories from the Indian embassy urging citizens to leave immediately. As violence escalated, many Indians, especially domestic workers and small business owners, were forced to abandon everything and evacuate. Organized flights helped bring them back, but the sudden displacement left families with nothing. For many, years of sacrifice in Lebanon ended in a matter of hours. This wasn't a legal deportation but a forced exit driven by conflict, showing how war and instability can uproot Indian communities just as harshly as official policies. 1. Egypt. Egypt became one of the most dangerous places for Indians in 2025 due to heightened security crackdowns linked to the Gaza conflict. Foreigners, including Indians, were detained, denied entry, or deported when suspected of joining protests or entering sensitive areas. Many Indians who had gone to work or transit through Egypt found themselves forced out abruptly. India also launched evacuation efforts from neighboring regions to help stranded nationals. For those caught in Egypt's strict controls, it was a frightening reminder that global instability and authoritarian crackdowns can turn any migrant stay into an unexpected exile.